Hey you guys, today I want to talk a bit about tattoos, where I want to go with them in the future, and what I know about them so far. What I know about them so far is relatively limited. It's limited to what we've seen on the forums and things about the patch notes, as well as what people have figured out so far. Which we've only had patch 5.2 on all servers for a few days now, so there's only so much henna that we can cultivate in order to figure out what's going on with this new stuff. And so yeah, we can get into that. And I also just really want to encourage people to read the blog. I think there's only so much I can do on the videos, and certain things are just better when they're laid out in writing. And I think between the blog, the Facebook and Google Plus posts where we post all our content, so I highly encourage you guys to bookmark the blog, or follow us on Facebook and all of that, and the videos. There's just a huge breadth of information about Wartune that I think can really help people make good decisions about their tunes and things, and also just a bit of fun. And Cosmos and I try to keep it light, fun, and informative, and put a lot of care into the posts and everything. And so with that in mind, I was trying to get sort of encourage myself to do some posts that were more like what I did when I first started out with Dolly Games. It was then Lavash Games and Cosmos' Wartune blog, but now we're sort of under the Dolly Games umbrella. But back then my content was purely on the blog, and it was also a lot of strategies and guides. And so I sort of want to get back into that, and it's hard to keep things fresh and keep in mind what's current and what's important to players now sometimes. And so this sort of inspired me, or I was thinking about it. I wanted to do a little series called Bird and Panda Discuss. And somebody who I talked to about the game and various strategies and how I want to go about things is my guildie and my buddy Robin7, who I affectionately call Bird. And I'm sure you guys have seen her in plenty of the gameplay videos and stuff. And Bird is somebody who I think is a very prudent player. She's puts a lot of thought into what she's going to be doing with her balance, her gold, her game materials, how she goes about things, and also how she goes about her gameplay. And so those are all things that I care a lot about. And because she's such a careful player, she's not going to be spending willy-nilly. She's not going to make any rash decisions. And having somebody like that, for me, who I'm more prone to that stuff, but I'm still relatively careful than I think compared to the average cacher. But having somebody like her there to sort of ground me and make sure that I'm making good decisions for myself and not doing anything too crazy, I think that's a really good person to be able to bounce my ideas off of. And so I hope that you guys are able to talk to your guildies and your friends about that stuff too. And if not, or also in addition to those folks in your life, be able to use Dolly Games as a resource like that, and talk in the comments and stuff with me and all the other viewers about these ideas and what you think of them. And so with that in mind, I thought to take little snippets of my conversations that I have with Bird and use them as inspiration for blog posts to get me talking about these things, and hopefully get you guys thinking about them as well, and conversing and all of that stuff. And so, of course, our first topic is the tattoos. And so yesterday I was talking to Bird, and we were talking about the tattoos a little, what we wanted, and I said, I'm pretty determined that eventually, so end game, that I want all intelligence minus charisma. So added intelligence into all 8 of the tattoos and decrease my charisma. And Bird also agreed with me, saying that she wants strength instead of intel, of course, because she's a bird. I mean, yes, she's a bird, because she's an archer. And so I was just poking fun of her, saying, I thought for sure she wanted intel to emulate her favorite panda, yours truly, and I got denied a little bit, saying she says birds have plenty of natural intellect already. So of course I encourage you to check out the blog. I think it lays things out a little bit more clearly in writing. You have little bullet points and everything about each of the ideas, but we can discuss them a bit here in the video as well. And so one thing with the stats and everything, there are 5 options for stats that you can obtain. And so here, when it's called the defense tattoo, that's the stat that's increased. So if it's a defense tattoo, it adds defense, endurance adds endurance, intelligence, etc. And so even though it's called a defense tattoo, that doesn't determine which one of the stats is decreased. So even though this defense tattoo says increased defense and minus charisma, it can be minus any one of the other 4 non-defense stats. So it could be charisma, intelligence, strength, or endurance that are subtracted, even though it's called a defense tattoo. And so when we have that in mind, we really want to push for the stats that we want, and then decrease the ones that we don't care about. And so of course for me, I'm mostly wanting intelligence tattoos, or really completely intelligence tattoos. I care about attack, and I want to obtain it in any way I possibly can. And so when I see an opportunity to gain a lot of attack through these tattoos, that's what I'm going to be gunning for. And then as far as choosing between which stats that I don't care about, really charisma is just troop count, it's not a big deal, and so I want to get rid of that. And so Bird agrees. Even though we have a lot of these defense tattoos, actually her tattoos are nicer than mine. So she has 1 strength, 1 here, I have 1 intelligence here, but she has more defense, and I think that's better than endurance. And so we're gunning for these strength ones, but in the meantime, there's a limited amount of material, so we'll just sort of go with whatever's decent, and sort of try to narrow it down to what we really want in the future. And so there's a very good reason why we care so much about attack, and I have this conversation with players all the time. This is a regular conversation. I think I just had I talked to 2-3 people within a couple of hours yesterday about this as well. But attack really is the most important stat. There's no stat in any of Wartune, except for maybe intensity, which I don't think you would ever be trading between intensity and attack, where I think that attack is less important than whatever that stat is. And so I'm not going to be trading defense or HP or block or crit or penetration or whatever it is in order to obtain more attack. And that's, I think, a general rule that people should keep. So with the gems, you'll see my gems. I have a set of pure magical attack, and then a set of magical attack plus crit, and those are all the magical attack gems that you can get. Whenever it comes to gear, I prioritize upgrading my weapon, and then my jewelry, and then start going to defense items, and then HP. And so defense is incredibly important. HP is important. I would say defense is a little bit more important. But the game is constantly throwing HP at you. The Sylphs give an enormous amount of HP. It's the only stat that you directly inherit from your stats. There's 4 pieces of HP gear, which is more than any of the other type of stat. Between the artifact and the brooch and the rings, it's an enormous amount of HP. If you look at attack, there's only 3 pieces. And then if you look at defense, yeah, there are only 3 pieces, but these 3 pieces have quite a bit more defense compared to what the other 3 give in attack. As a rule, these pieces of gear give less BR, so the right pieces of gear give less BR than the ones on the left. And so all of the defense items are on the left, and so they give quite a bit of stats. And so just if you naturally work on your gear, so even if you start with the attack, eventually if you max out all of your gear, full forge and whatever, even when we didn't have the artifact and Halidom, when all of the gear was maxed, we didn't have Holy Forge, and everybody had these max enchanted pieces of orange gear, even then the defense stats were really hugging very close to the attack stats, and that was just because that's how it naturally happened from the gear. And so if you just work on your gear, you're going to be getting a lot of survival stats already. And so really you have to push, you have to really focus on attack in order to make it happen. And it's very, very easy to slip into a place where you have so many survival stats but aren't dealing a ton of damage. So being conscious of your attack stat and really pushing to make it happen is important. And so I think tattoos are another place where people are going to feel like, oh, my survival stats aren't strong enough, I need more defense, I need more HP, and so they'll try for those stats. And I think it largely has to do with the fact that people get beat up in these PvP events, BG and class wars and various things, and feel like, oh, I'm not living long enough, and so it must be that I need more HP and defense. HP and defense are obviously important, but most of the time people beat you up because they have more BR than you, just in general, or they have really, really high reduced res, or there's something resistance related and stuff like that, or because they have a ton of attack. And so really having a really great offense is, to me, more important than a huge defense, or at least between the two you should prioritize the offense and then catch up on the defense later when you have nothing else to work on for the offense. So yeah, that's sort of my spiel on why attack stats are important, but they're also how do we prioritize things in the meantime. So there's the ideal, so what we want in the end when all things are said and done, but also what we should work on as we go along. And so this is I share a little list of how I prioritize the stats and how I encourage other people to. Of course, some people have different ideas, but this would just be switching intelligence and strength if you're an archer or a knight, but emphasize intelligence, then defense, endurance, strength, and charisma. And so as you're moving along, because we have limited materials, it's really hard to just push all intelligence ones. And so to me, you know, at least at the very start, if it's going to be good enough if you just have make sure that the stat that's increased is higher priority than the one that's decreased. So if I see an intelligence tattoo, even if it decreases my defense, I'm going to keep it. It's fine. But if I have an endurance tattoo, I probably don't want it if it decreases defense or intelligence, but I would keep it if it decreases strength and charisma. So that's just something to keep in mind. One of the other things that we talk about in the blog is, you know, whether or not we're going to hoard the henna. And I think better safe than sorry on this one. Of course, I use some materials, mostly out of curiosity. I couldn't really help myself. But now I'm really thinking, okay, I need to start hoarding because there's probably going to be an event for this stuff. And it may give henna back. It may just, you know, whatever reason, there's going to be event materials maybe. So we should be cautious and really try to save these materials in case there's an event for either cleansing or for consuming henna. I'm not totally sure how it would be set up, but there's probably going to be something eventually. And so yeah, just err on the side of caution as far as that goes. Also, the other thing that will help with hoarding henna is making sure that you don't end up with a type of tattoo that is really awful. Because you could cleanse this and the stat will go up. So say like I cleanse and my defense goes up, or the stat goes to plus 10, but it ends up being a charisma tattoo. So it's like a charisma plus 10 and then minus something else that I would, you know, definitely don't want to lose compared to charisma. And so even though I want to switch in that tattoo because it will increase the quality of my tattoo, I want to be able to fix it and put in a better stat. And so if you hoard up henna and are able to cleanse multiple times, you know, within a few times you can probably find a stat that you want, or a better tattoo in general. And so that you can sort of protect yourself from ending up with really bad tattoos if you have more henna. The last bit is the advanced henna, and so sort of figuring out the tattoo and the expert tattoo stuff is a little bit confusing to me. The forum sort of tries to explain it, but doesn't completely. So I don't have any advanced henna to show yet. I didn't do any of those cashier events that gave the advanced henna, but from what I understand, so this I thought maybe it only goes to increasable stats 1 to 10, so the cap was 10 for the normal henna, but that's definitely not the case because I don't think I have any that are over plus 10, but Robin definitely does. So she has one of these defense tattoos that's plus 38. And it increases, I mean, okay, so it's plus 38 defense, but it decreases the endurance by 23. And so there's obviously, this is a big one. But she's only used normal henna. She hasn't used any of the advanced stuff either. And so, clearly she's doing a better job of this stuff than I am, because she has all these defense ones and a strength one, and I am stuck with these endurance ones. But anyway, it's okay. And so the stats can go relatively high with these normal henna and whatever. You don't need the defensive ones to get pretty high stats. So actually what I think, and from what I read from the forum, I'm understanding it a little bit better, is that if you use normal henna, the stats can increase from 1 to 10. So this can go from plus 8 to either plus 9 or plus 18. and so that's what the normal henna will do. And then if you use the advanced henna, it can increase plus 21 to 40. So it's going to increase this a lot more. It'll go to plus 29 or to plus 48. Or at least from my impression, that's how it works. What I don't really understand is whether this becomes an expert tattoo. So right now it's called defense tattoo, but there is such thing as advanced defense tattoo. And so I don't know if you use the advanced henna, if that becomes an advanced defense tattoo, whether or not you can use the normal henna on it later on, or what happens there. So to me, again, erring on the side of caution, probably it's a good bet to use normal henna and increase your stats using that, and probably save the advanced henna that you obtain and use it later on. I don't think it's gonna hurt you for sure. If there's probably only so high that you can get with the normal henna, and then you need the expert tattoos, or like the advanced henna, to go even farther. Don't hold me to that, but it's just a guess. Either that, or the cap is very high on these tattoos, and it's almost impossible to obtain with normal henna. So again, not totally sure, but whatever it is, I probably would advise to just keep the advanced henna until later, because these are on such early stages. And when you're going into things as a level 80 player, and these things I think are available to people earlier on. Actually no, I think it might be a class advanced thing, this henna stuff. Don't hold me to that. It's a little bit awkward going into some of the new stuff as a already completely class advanced player, because you're not totally sure when these things are available to other players that are more beginners or earlier in the game. But yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind for sure. Might want some stats and stuff to sort of try things out, but hoard the normal henna, hoard the advanced henna, and figure it out later would be my recommendation. Whenever there's an event, it's a better time to try things out. So I think that's about it. Of course, encouraging you guys to check out the blog and everything. All the links are in the description below to reach our Facebook, our Google+, our blog, and whatnot. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care, and have a very good day.